Hello and welcome to the first of these December sessions of Night's Black Agents, which is Pelgrane Press's Born Meets Vampires game in a lot of ways. It's a game I adore for the premise, and I do like Gumshoe, but Gumshoe, this particular iteration, has also got a lot more crunch than I'm necessarily comfortable with. So I know Alan has played around with doing variations on trying this out. This is a variation that changes the resolution system and consolidates a few other things in play. So that's why if you're a NBA purist and you're watching this, you may take a gasp at some point throughout this. I do love the system. Ken Hite knows that I have some problems with Gumshoe. He's called me out at conventions about this before. So that's a whole thing. So this session is part of the Gauntlet Calendar. Gauntlet Calendar is an online gaming organization, group, club, if you will, that we have about 100 sessions each month on the calendar. And it's supported by Patreon. And even if you aren't backing the Patreon, you can come and check out the calendar and you can sign up for games. We also have a sort of quarterly open gaming event. Our next one is happening at the end of February, and that's free, and anyone can sign up for those sessions. So just keep all that in mind. Let me talk about what this is. I've sent out a CATS document to the players. I posted it in our chat that we're using with what will now be soon the defunct Google Hangouts, which will go over to Google Chat. I was just warned to today. But this is a game where you play operatives, spies, agents of organizations that have been burnt, and has happened because you've crossed paths with something supernatural. And there are all kinds of reasons. You've seen discrepancies in records. Maybe you've actually fought a vampire or some other supernatural minion. And now our agents are on their own, operating, trying to uncover what these things are, what's out there, and where is the conspiracy lead? Like, what are the levels? What are the connections here? And try to disable that. So that's the mystery that we're solving in the course of it. Our play will be mission-based, and standard Night's Black Agent says 2 to 3 sessions per mission. I have no idea how this is going to play out with the change in resolution. We will see. I'm a very poor judge of how long things actually take when we get to play. So just keep that in mind. And the basics still follow the Gumshoe system. If you have an investigative ability and there's a clue to be found, you will find it, but you can also spend pushes to get additional information. In play, I may go, hey, does anyone want to spend a push on this? But you can also say, I would like to see if I can get information, or I can push further on this by spending a push from this skill. We'll see if we can deepen the information that you have, or give you a benefit. On the other side, we have our general skills. These are for general actions, resolution, combat, all of those things. This is the big change. You have pools of points. You spend from those to make a 2d6 roll, and it's resolved very much on the fly PbtA style, meaning 10 plus, grand success, full success. 7 to 9, success with cost, complication, delay. We'll figure out what that is on the fly. A 6 or less is generally a failure or success with a huge cost, and I'll generally push bad things forward at that point. But we'll talk about that. We have some moves written out, but generally we're going to play that a little bit on the fly. Our tone, we're thinking of the action of Born Identity, Mission Impossibles. I will say my touchstones for spies are primarily John le Carré, the Bourne series of films, Burn Notice, the TV show, and also the Sandbaggers as the things that really, for me, our spy. I haven't really read a lot of techno thrillers, so my thing tends to be a little more cynical. Spies are my bread and butter. With that, we've got some elements of supernatural horror that are going to be happening in here. So there's going to be dark stuff in here. You're also going to be generally investigating conspiracies that have criminal elements to them, which means you're going to be dealing with, those kinds of things, black market economies, criminal trafficking, all of those kinds of things. So that's going to be in the tone of this. And I do want to say, you guys are badass spies. You are excellent at what you do. And against standard operatives, against equal force, you're probably going to take people out. But sometimes you'll face things that are outside of your remit. And that's when it gets more dangerous. But generally, when we picture yourselves as born competency in a lot of ways. We'll also be mentioning, we'll probably be operating in Europe, Middle East, Asia, maybe North Africa. Those would be my general spaces for operating scenarios. Just in general, not the Americas, because I think that's less interesting. But with that, I will be saying some place names, and I'll be saying them very badly. I've tried to be better about that, but I apologize right now about that. We have a set of safety tools. These are layered safety tools. I know all of you are Gauntlet veterans, so you're all familiar with them. At the base level, we have our lines and veils, and we have our sheet there. After we kind of go through character creation, I'll walk through what people have chosen as lines and veils. This is a living document. Feel free to mark this up as you wish. We have a line on virus, plague, pandemic. I will say I'm picturing this as a post-pandemic world where maybe a year or two down the line. Just picturing that is in the background, which I think is fair given how much an effect it's had, but we're going to try and stay away from those kinds of issues. So that's all on there. We've also got a roll with me, a roller there on the tab with those lines and veils. Second, we have X card. Use the X card for material that you find problematic, objectionable. If we start leaning in towards things that are lined and we're like driving towards them too fast, that's a good time to X card something. Also, if you feel that something is wildly off tone from where the game has been rolling, it's fair to X card on that. And again, this is something that Rich taught me. If the first couple of times that something comes up, you're like, oh, I'm okay with that. But then later on, you're like, no, this is beginning to bug me. It is absolutely legit to X card something later on that you've already passed by. And then finally, we have the open door policy, which means if you need to leave the table for whatever reason, you can do that. Also, if you play this session, you're like, that is not the game for me. It is legit to come to say, I'm not coming back. That is fair. This is a slightly more trad game. And we're also playing with some new stuff. So if it's not your cup of tea, that is absolutely legit. So with that, for dental horror, that's a good point, a good question, Stephen. I mean, like the scene from Marathon Man with the evil dentist, or people doing things to normal people. Vampire teeth is fine, but dental horror of deliberately yanking people's teeth out or anything like that, I would put that as a no-go. I put that one on there, so I feel free. And
I'll put that as a veil then.
Okay. Yes. So with that in mind, what I'd like to do is come and look. We have our players have kind of started ahead of time. We gave them some access to the character keeper beforehand to start making some choices on that. So I think we might actually move to kind of doing some introductions, and I'm going to do some leading questions on that. So I will go across the character keeper in that order, as is traditional. So Pavel, if you don't mind, why don't you tell us about what you're imagining for your character for today?
So I'll be playing Carl Pot. He just shortened this because a surname of potato is not the best sounding in the spiral, so he chose to go by Carl Pot. Although his current cover identity is Alan Novak, probably provided to him by some of his awesome teammates, because he's good at this, but not super expert at the cover identity. Carl comes from Polish Special Forces, from Grom unit. His role was bang and burner. He was infiltrating and exploding stuff. Yeah, he's I see him as a kind of like a guy who knows a guy and always is prepared for the other guy to betray him. He's an expert. They bought the sniper? No. Oh, I didn't buy the sniper. So yeah, he's good at exploding stuff and at being prepared.
Okay. So tell me, what is the reputation for the GROM in Poland? Are they considered elite? Are they considered dangerous? I mean, what's the rep for them?
I think that US equivalent is the Navy SEALs.
Okay.
So all kind of purpose, or maybe more like Delta Force, because I think they're like kind of like a multi-purpose, water, air-based, whatever they have to come from, and yeah, this kind of like a unit sends to when you need covert operatives, highly skilled.
And how old do you imagine? I mean, are we talking 30s, 40s, older?
I think Carl is in his 30s.
Okay. And what do you imagine happened that put you on the trail of these things and ended up kind of getting you booted out? Did you fight something? Did you find something in evidence? Did you see the like aftermath of a horrible thing? Did somebody pass you information? What kind of thing do you think let you down on this?
Carl has discovered that someone has been pulling strings and making the special units doing some, not the business for the good of the country, but for good of someone else. And he maybe discovered the identity of this person, maybe not. I'm not sure. But his colleagues turned on him, but he was luckily the one who walked out of the room alive. And his colleagues weren't. So he considered himself being dismissed from the force, and went underground.
I think that is perfectly fair. All right, and let me just check. So disguise explosive mechanics medic. Okay, that looks good. And for the talents you chose,
in the nick of time, which is I can reveal that they have done something in advance. I'm sort of curious, like, how is this talent different than basic use of preparedness? That they just don't roll the dice?
You don't roll the dice. You
basically take the 10 plus.
Absolutely, it's marking that to take a 10 plus.
Yeah. So yeah, I can reveal in advance that I have planted something. I can detonate my bomb at any time, and it goes exactly how I wanted it to go. And I'm always prepared for someone to betray me, and I always have backup plans for contacts betrayal.
And Pavel has actually beaten me to the punch on this. I was going to say here, I was going to be a generous GM and say, why don't you take 3 talents instead of the 2 that I told you? So Pavel has actually beaten me to the punch on that.
Well, I I read the blog post and it says pick 3 talents.
Oh yeah, that was on the blog post. On the character creation thing, I changed that up just a little because I was being a little more restrained. But 3 is what I was going to do and pretend to be like super Father Christmassy here. So
Cool.
let's come to our next player. Paul, tell us about Peter.
Hello, I'm Paul, he, him, and the character I'm playing for this series is Peter Skellen, also he, him, and I'm a British GCHQ researcher. So more of an office man. In my early days, I did do some field work, but Peter's quite old now. It depends what you call old, but Peter's in his 50s, and for the last 20 years, he's pretty much been confined to a desk in GCHQ doing analysis type work.
I'm not familiar with the acronym of the GCHQ. What is that?
It's the sort of British listening post.
Okay.
So more computer work. Alan will probably know the basis of GCHQ. I don't know where it came from. Alan, do you know?
Government Communications Headquarters.
There we go.
Okay.
But yeah, it doesn't sort of like send letters out to people when they're 100. It does a lot of sort of the deeper stuff.
Okay. But publicly acknowledged and known?
It's known.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I think they've got an Instagram account. They're
Okay. Nice. we have this, but it's the NSA, and they're supposedly not supposed to be around.
You mean that massive black cube that they live in?
Yeah.
So
How do you imagine that Peter got pushed out of the desk onto this world? Again, was it finding errors?
Yeah,
was it
I think about 2 years ago, during the pandemic, clearly a lot of staff were moved around to deal with the pandemic, and Peter ended up doing a deep dive on blood records, looking for blood plasma people, and he noticed blood was sort of disappearing off the books, and that was really the start of his burning. Eventually he got tipped off that basically people were coming for him, so he opened his carpet bag, put his desk drawer in there, and ran out of the building.
Essentially, you from your days as a field officer, you probably still had a get out bag and brought all that to there.
Pulling on that knowledge from back in the day, disappeared.
And digital intrusion, disguise, medic shrink, not real interpersonal person. That is fair. What talents have you taken that you don't have to choose all of them, but have you chosen?
Currently, I've gone for paint a target, which is a digital sort of talent, and that allows me to spend it to create a digital problem for a target. Either their cash cards stop working, their bank accounts get drained, their social media screws up, their phone turns off, that sort of thing.
Awesome. All right. That's going to bring us over to our third and various character. Alan, tell us about who you'll be playing.
Hello, my name is Alan, he, him, and I'm playing Henrietta Michaels, she, her. Henry to her friends, and everyone is Henry's friend. Her background's in British Foreign Intelligence and MI6, and her role was a cuckoo, in as much as she pretends to be other people in order to deceive the enemy. In terms of current cover IDs prepared, she has 8 or 9 in her back pocket. I am channeling Orphan Black here very heavily. Mm-hmm. She pretends to be people.
Young, old, or indeterminate?
Well, I think she could play old and she could play younger. But based on my thinking, I think she's in her late 20s at worst. But she can probably play 40. You know, if you covered enough of her up, she could play 60. And she could probably, you know, depending on what she dressed, go down to late teens.
Okay. How do you think that she got recruited into MI6?
Oh, recruited straight out of Cambridge.
Okay.
You know, the only
Classic.
way in. You know, that is the only entry mechanism that she's aware of. But you know, so she has a certain class background, but again, she can play a variety of class.
And how did it come that she got burnt and essentially went off the grid here?
Someone in MI6 hung her out to dry. And she doesn't know who, but she believes there is a conspiracy within MI6 related to the vampire conspiracy, because they hang her out to dry by sending her in to pretend to be someone who turned out to be a vampire's next meal. She barely got away with her life.
So has seen a vampire, has seen evidence of that effect?
She believes that person was a vampire. And to be honest, as far as MI6 are concerned, she died on that op.
Excellent. Got those. Good, strong interpersonal, a little bit of mind technical, disguise, medic shrink. And what did you take talent-wise?
I took a disguise talent. It seemed to fit the character concept. On the move, spend to automatically find the elements of a basic disguise in a scene. You'll always be able to find a lab coat in a hospital, an army uniform in a military base, a battered leather jacket near a biker gang. The next basic person to scan you will automatically read you as that.
Yeah, and effectively that's a 10 plus, even in areas where you wouldn't normally be able to have access to your materials, and so awesome. Stephen, if I come to you, are you feeling set to give us some idea of who you're playing?
Yeah. I'm playing Viola Poe, a former well, I went with the role Wire Rat, which I imagine here as the person that you send in to make certain that things break conveniently for other operatives. But my service was originally with US Cybercom, and this is Viola's view. It's not Steven's view, but I wrote for nationality, American slumming it among the Euros. I think that North America kind of became a little bit of a no-go after after some of my private jobs I took for corporates that turned out to maybe be run by vampires came out. And you know, there's technically some, you know, FBI wanted lists out for me. We don't need to go into that.
How old are you imagining? Pretty young, middle-aged? What are you thinking?
I think late 20s, early 30s. There's a reason I'm this stupid about operations.
That makes sense. Good set of skills. Technical. So digital intrusion, disguise mechanics. Good. That covers those things. And what did you choose any of your talents so far?
Yeah, I picked up Saboteur, which is I can spend to have retroactively sabotaged any vehicle or piece of equipment I've had access to in an earlier scene.
Okay. One of our premises at the start of this is that all of you have worked together before. And if we need to, we can flash back to those kinds of things. Flashbacks are sometimes a good way to justify like spending an investigative skill to refresh a general ability or to ask for a desperate refresh on things. But you know each other and you have worked together as a group. And the setup here, because we're going to hard frame into our first mission, is that you were contacted not too long ago by a guy named Pordano. It's the only name he's given you. He's been a reliable in the no contact. He clearly has connections to some other cells of people who are working in the same line as you are. He's, delivered the goods when you've come to him for material, for information. He does some work out in the field, and he's maybe a little bit messy, which kind of makes you keep at least a little bit of distance. But a couple of days ago, he contacted you and was disturbingly vague, but made a strong offer to you. He said that he was working on folks on something important, that it was hush-hush, but he wanted a little insurance. He wanted a little backup. And he wanted you to bring your team to Bucharest. At the train station, he would leave burner phones and approximately 8,000 euros in a duffel bag for you, and essentially wanted you to essentially sit tight in a hotel room of your choice for about 72 hours. It might be that nothing would go on. And if so, then, you could just walk away with the money. And it seemed a little shady, but the money is good and he's been reliable before. But you still would be tradecraft cautious in that kind of way. So Alan, I see that you're a little suspicious. So assuming you get boots on the ground, this is our setup. What does Henry do when you arrive? Can you give us a shot of the kind of process or tradecraft you might do for that?
Yeah, well, we certainly don't travel together. I think it's logical for Henry to be on site first, because she can probably lift a uniform or look official. Give her a clipboard and a badge, and she's absolutely convincing. So I think she's probably in the concourse of the railway station, just asking people if they speak English and do they have a view on the following British television programs. But that is simply so that she can keep an eye on. Are we talking about a left luggage locker? Or
yeah, train station, luggage locker. The key code has been sent to you.
So I will have worked out where the locker is, and then I will be locating myself where I can see the places the locker can be observed from.
And you'll do that. We'll assume you arrive several hours beforehand, and you'll watch standard local police observation, standard cameras. You won't see anybody out of place watching. You check the eye lines on that. You make sure there are no other concealed cameras, people coming back and forth, and it looks like a clean drop to you.
Okay.
So let me ask Carl. Carl, what is your tradecraft when you enter a place like this?
It's always look for like security and other things like that. Are there some? He's always on the lookout for undercover security or police officers, and yeah, I think, and he doesn't like to be caught unarmed. So I think he has this, submachine gun hidden in the suitcase that looks business enough.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, his disguise is kind of. I mean, Henry always helps with the disguise, but but this is like Captain America kind of disguise: a baseball bat and some and some sport jacket. So it's not like really deep undercover, but yeah.
My advice to Carl is always hide in plain sight, because you are a plain sight.
Yeah, and in this instance, since Henry goes to look for other stuff, Carl is like on the side as a close support to Henry. If things blow up, he always wants to have her in the like, you know, an eyesight to provide cover and take her out of problems. So he's also probably in the building, trying to mingle. And not attract too much suspicion to himself.
And I think the pickup between the two of you is going to go easy. Henry can signal that it's clear. Carl can do the pickup. You head out to wherever you've prearranged in terms of hotels or things like that. Carl, at least on this day, it doesn't seem like there's any heightened security on the street. No public notices. The big thing in the news is that another one of those weird triangular monoliths has been found in Romania a couple of days ago. And this is real world news, bizarrely enough. But you can head out. Assuming that everything gets set, you're going to be moving into hotels, you know, that kind of thing. What do we see of Peter's, like, when you get into a new location, when you're in a new hotel, in that first sort of day of waiting, that kind of thing? What do we see you doing?
So I think we see Peter with a large suitcase, you know, full of tech kit. So he'll pretty much dominate whatever hotel room he's in, you know, spread it out over various surfaces, you know, the desk fully loaded, his bed, whoever's bed's next to him, sort of thing. Yeah, you know, that twin room is just covered in tech stuff, you know, and it's all sort of old school notebooks, that sort of thing. So yeah, he's really come sort of prepared with sort of crap, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can get yourself set up in there. Do you think the group is in the same hotel, different hotels? What do you think is the procedure for this?
I think Peter will definitely be looking for some kind of security here. You know, this isn't his area of expertise. Is not personal defense, really.
Right.
So he would advocate, you know, at least in the same building, maybe dominate a floor, that sort of thing.
That makes sense. Viola, what do we see you do when you arrive on scene on this sort of first day of observation and waiting for maybe a call that's not going to come?
I like to think that in that same scene that Paul described, we also see Viola having grabbed a amenity fridge tiny wine that she is drinking and scrolling through burner phones looking for information that our client might have dropped off.
Yeah.
Or left behind, not dropped off.
Yeah. These look clean. It looks like that kind of prepaid buy, numbers registered and dropped off. You check to make sure that there aren't additional bugs or trackers on that. And it looks like these are just easy things to, I mean, you could even clone them to get a fresh phone if you want to just carry the number and not have any of the kind of SIM card or tracking things on that.
Oh yeah, but I'm also just checking around. You know, people have a lot of tracking apps on their phone they forget to remove. You know, seeing if there's anything that any app information I can dump.
Yeah, I think I think probably what you'll get is probably a couple of these phones are those ones where they go and wipe a phone's hard drive and resell it. So while you don't get anything information necessarily on Pordano, you probably get some people's info from the previous owners of these phones pretty easily.
Oh, yeah, I shot over to Peter. Peter, I've got a new card for you to put the room service on.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Yes, yes. Well, order whatever you want then. Dinner's on you.
And that first day is that waiting around, that holding off, that sitting, keeping procedures up, security watches, marking the rooms if you go out, all of those kinds of things. And it is on the evening of the second day when night falls, or maybe an hour or two after sunset, when all of the phones will go off and there is a text message identical on all the phones here. And I'm going to give you that in the chat. The things that are in parentheses, I'll give you the more details on. But so that is, what's it? Essentially, there is a link to a news story, or rather, essentially maybe kind of a channel update. The phrase "spy who came in from the grave," a name, Marta Oziert, some GPS coordinates, and then 3 other names. And assuming that you hit the link, will come up to essentially like a police report channel. Just a few minutes ago, you're guessing that this must have been triggered by some kind of search somewhere. And it essentially has the very basic details, investigation still ongoing, of a car crash on the DN5K outside of Bucharest, crashed into woodland area. The driver, Jacob Pordano, deceased. And then it says passenger, and then there's no other details on that. So let's start with you, Henry. Get this sudden piece. There's coordinates, there's the names. What do you want to do?
Well, I think my first inclination will be to ask Peter who these people are.
Peter, I think that this is probably going to be, I'll give you one for free, but if you want to get more of those last names or first names, I can give you that with a spend from say probably academic or interpersonal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think academic.
Okay.
Yeah, do some research. So the Romanian DMV, social media, their national identity card. If we can get into that, try and sort of cross-reference this name, see if we can come up with some faces, some general backgrounds of these guys.
So what you'll get is it's pretty clear that this strangely did not provide the details of the passenger. That's unusual. That should have been detailed in the police report. I think that's number one on research. The name, Marta, you're not going to get a hit on, but we'll come back to that for a reason. You kind of are doing that cross-reference where you're like, okay, in our field, who might this be? And you'll get the basics that Huyer, there's a biochemist who's worked in the fringes like you. The name has come up. before as somebody maybe in the know on the kind of work that you do. Loretti is a older priest, like in the 70s, stationed in Rome, who is a little more active on the vampire circuit. But Rostami is just a name that's been dropped before. Like that, when people want to like say that they're in the know about vampires, they drop Rostami's name. This is a person who's been in the biz of trying to uncover stuff about the conspiracy for 20 years. I think the other piece you'll get out of that is you can confirm that your contact, Pordano, is the victim in the crash. You can get a quick ident confirmation on that. And I will drop a picture of him, even though he's dead, into the NPCs tab. Let me grab that up.
Okay, well, I'll pass this information on to everybody. So the dead person is Cordano. The details about the three names there, how they are relevant to the vampire problem. And then I'll point out that Marta Ozyuk, that actually is, there's nobody called that. It's just sort of a dead name, which is suspicious in this day and age.
Drop. Where is our picture?
I think I'll then look at Viola and say, anything to add, Viola?
About which part?
Well, anything really. Because I've just noticed you've got research and some of those similar skill sets. So in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Have we investigated the coordinates yet?
No. Do you want to check that out?
Yeah, I think that I look into some of the satellite data for what we bring up, for what comes up for the coordinates there.
So what you'll find is the DN5K is a major highway in Romania. Romania is actually very wooded. About 25% of Romania is actually still in woodlands. And that kind of cuts through a section of the forest. And you will see there is a satellite image that you can get. Doesn't look like anything's built up at that coordinate site. It's like maybe a farmhouse, barn, and general stuff around that. There's no additional heat signatures or things that would indicate like a facility of some kind there. The thing that will strike you is that location is about 2.5 kilometers away from the crash site.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem like fair info?
Yeah.
Okay. Carl, you have some info here. What is your next step?
Probably get some boots on the ground and go to the crash site. So I probably look at Viola or Henry and say that I'm driving to the site and who wants to join me.
On the grounds that I don't think you should be let out on your own. Then I think, but Henry doesn't think anybody should be allowed out on their own, actually. So Henry's very happy to come with you.
And we'll assume you have 2 cars that you've done rentals on, and that way, if we need to sweep in Viola and Peter, we can do that with a wave of the hand.
Can I have second thoughts on that? I'm just thinking that we've got 2 technical bods. technical-ish bods. Is it better that we split them rather than have them together? Because the other thing I think we should be looking at is which morgue the bodies may have been taken to.
So how do you want to pair up then?
I'm open. Who wants crash site? Who wants morgue?
Let me have a quick look at my skills.
I might actually
I've
go
got
for
medicine,
more.
so the morgue probably suits me better.
Cool. I don't have criminology, so to investigate the crash site, I'm not so good at.
So that's me and Viola then.
Then let me put Carl and Peter sort of in the air. We'll come back and let's go to Alan and Viola on site, just for informational purposes. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Okay. So two of you will drive out. It's maybe 25-minute drive out to the site. You will see that there are still, police flashers. They've got the cones up to divert traffic. There's enough of an area of that you could pull off the road and walk up if you wanted to. It definitely looks like you could see that the car went off the road and it is down off the side, smashed into a tree. So how do you want to play this, Henry?
What I'm thinking is if we get that as we drive past slowly, because traffic will be slow moving past it, then can we get off this road and behind this woodland or into this woodland so we can approach from the back side of this crash site?
Are you trying to do this in a way that you don't want to be observed coming up, or are you kind of coming out of the woods?
Oh, no, certainly. No, what I'm interested in is whether anyone has left the crash site, heading into the woods. And I also want to be able to have a look at the site. The police are going to principally about keeping people from the road to the crash site. So I'm hoping we can get a little bit closer if there's still anyone on site.
So I think this is going to be a general ability roll, which will be essentially infiltration to get up so that you're not spotted by authorities. And then we'll hit the investigative side of things.
So let me think. So the way this works is that I have 4 allocated to physical, like infiltration.
Yep.
So if I spend 1 or 2 or 3 from that, I can get 1 or 2 or 3 on a 2d6. Am I right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Is that what your bonus is? And if you don't want to spend, you can roll with a 0.
Yeah. Okay. Then I will spend 1 from my general fund.
Okay.
On the grounds that we might get some back by next time.
Okay.
So I'm rolling 2d6 plus 1. That is an 8.
That is an 8. So I think that you can get up and check the perimeter. But I think to get closer than sort of the wood line to get a better look is going to put it so the police will see you if you go up that close to get that look. But you can get some basic info from where you're at. If you want to get closer, you can do that, but it will be being more info, but being spotted.
What do you think, Vi?
Okay, sorry, I was already unmuted. I mean, Henry, are we really going to let some Romanian police be an impediment here?
I just love it when you talk anti-police. I think that I think it seems logical to me, knowing where we're going, that that Henry will be in her Beth identity, which is police and agent Henry, and is going to try and just come on these traffic cops and hit them with I don't know, Europol seems a good place to start.
And before you even move up, you can see that this crash, like it went off, but clearly something went through the windscreen, and it like big, like the windscreen is out, and that doesn't seem to be what happened with that. It doesn't seem like anybody walked out into the woods, but you'll definitely see that there are tracks nearby. You can see one that indicates to you driver's side, body taken out, put, in an ambulance, headed back towards Bucharest. The other side, the passenger side, has been prized open. You can see the seatbelt is cut like you do if the seatbelt's jammed. And there's another set of tracks that don't go towards Bucharest, but essentially head east. And the two of you will come up on these traffic cops, and they're kind of waving, and you'll pull out your ID, and you've got essentially bureaucracy is what you use for dealing with cops. And I think you've got that, so you can get some info out of them. Let me go to Viola and then come back to you on your questioning, and then we'll switch over to the other group. Viola, as you come up with Henry taking lead, what are you looking for? What are you doing?
I think I'm going over to the car, and while Henry is keeping these cops busy, I'm inspecting the car for traces of what might have caused the crash. If there is anything that might have been removed from the scene.
The cause of the crash becomes pretty obvious once you get up. You can see that a large branch went straight through the windshield, clearly hit the driver, punched through actually the back seat into the trunk. And it's very, very odd. I mean, there's a lot of gore in the back seat. The driver clearly, hit pretty hard. And that is
put on my gloves.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing you can get from that. Do you have? Let me see what the appropriate one. Criminology. Do you want to make a spend from that?
Yeah.
So spend 1 point from push from the investigative pool.
Okay.
It looks to you like the angle of that is very weird. It's not like a branch fell off a tree in the woods. It's the end of the branch is that kind of green bark that tells you that it was a fresh branch, and that it was torn off a tree, and then somebody like 30, 40 feet off the road threw it through the windshield. Does that seem like fair info?
Yeah.
Okay. Henry, what? It's no problem for you to get up onto these cops. You've got the bureaucracy. I think that's easy. What is it you want to try and get from them?
I just want to okay, fellas, I've seen that this is part of an ongoing international investigation, and I can see that one of the seatbelts has been cut. Was that to free someone, or was it like that when you arrived at the scene?
And as you're talking to them, they don't question you being there in a way that kind of makes you like maybe somebody else has already been here. Maybe somebody else has already had a convo with them. And the cops go, well, no, the woman who was in the passenger seat, she was injured, unconscious, but they took her to an institute up the road, Vertag, I think, right? That's what the guy said. Yeah, when we got here, there was another one of your people here. You should probably talk to them.
And I think as I'm talking to them, I'm just messaging to Carl and Peter, saying probably ignore morgue, check out Institute Vertag. Did you say
Vertag? Yeah,
Vertag.
Yeah, and I should mention this too. I think I said this in the notes, but I'll reaffirm this. One of the things we do whenever I run mysteries is information that's gained by one set of players in a scene is considered to be in the hands of the players for the next scene, even if that kind of doesn't make logical sense, but it's easier for playthrough. And I think that you'll get that message after having gotten a quick check on Pordano, confirmed his identity, and seen that, yeah, like it is massive blunt force trauma. There's all kinds of wood embedded in the wound. The one other thing you'll get from that is no personal effects, like wallet, phone, gone, not on the body. So what do you want to do, you two?
Me and Carl.
Yeah, you and Peter, Carl.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
I think we'll instantly leave the hospital, and on Henry's instructions, I think we'll at high speed move to Vertag Institute.
But maybe before we leave the morgue, I would love to go and ask if for any personal belongings of the deceased. Maybe they got his phone.
And they'll say no. We checked. We assumed whoever. I mean, the police must have confiscated that. There's no phone, keys, to anything like that. We assume they took all of it because the pockets were turned out.
Yeah, I'll say to Carl, I said, while you're driving, I'll try and track his phone. So, we'll try and get a handle on that.
Sure. Institute then.
So what are you looking into as you drive, Peter? And then we'll come to...
I'd like to try and back search Cordano's phone.
Okay.
Try and locate it, see if it's still turned on, see if it's still transmitting to a cell tower, that sort of thing. See if it's gone somewhere.
And I will be able to check. I think this is, let's see what you've got the surveillance, got data recovery, so this is not a problem. I think you can cross-reference that and you will get a ping for it on site at that's the tower that's closest to that Vertag Institute. That says to you that it's on site and somebody has been messing with it.
Okay, I'll pass that information back to everybody and say, so we've got whatever woman was there, we think she's on site, but we definitely know his kit is on site. Which is quite suspicious that it's been removed from his body.
Carl, you will take this vehicle, you drive past the accident site and head up to Vertog. Are you playing it more cautious? Are you going in to play like you're arriving patient-wise? How do you want to? What's your MO here?
What do we know? What is this institute? Is it like a medical emergency place, or is it like, because it's evening and I'm wondering what is the institution type? What is this PbtA Institute?
It's a private hospital, but according to regulations, that if there's an emergency, they have to take in a patient if there's an emergency in the area. But it's definitely a kind of higher end private medical facility.
Well, I think we could probably get you in there, Carl, if need be. As a patient.
Do you want to shoot me, or like how do I go there?
No, I was thinking just institutionalizing you. A gunshot would probably be a bit slightly severe at this stage. With chemistry, I'm sure I could mix up something that makes you froth at the mouth in not a pleasant way. Just say, he's fitting or something.
Can I just check?
Yeah.
If they're coming from Bucharest and the Vertag Institute is
they have to pass
away
you
from the crash site, is it possible that Viola and I are parked in a lay-by before the turning to the Institute?
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
And there'll be that kind of flick on, flick off of the headlights as we spot them approaching, just so they don't drive in wondering where we are.
I think, Carl, as you're driving up, you get that hackle on the back of your neck, you get a shiver there. As you're kind of driving up, there's a parking lot, drive in, the emergency pull up, and you will see that there are 3 black vehicles, a car that's riding a little low to the ground that tells you that it's armored, and a couple of vans, and there are some people getting out of them.
Yeah, I think yes.
We're going to take our first break here, and then we'll figure
Sure.
out what you're doing, Pot.
Sure.
So let's take 5, okay? I still can't quite bring myself to pause recording. I'm always afraid I'm going to forget.
No, I have a deal with my players now that they have to write down in front of them recording, so that if I don't, one of them might.
That's a very good idea.
I can't but think that the name is significant, and I think it's in Henry's nature to think about patterns. So Vertag, I think, it's a German root for adjourn, postpone, or defer. Bracket, death bracket.
That's certainly one way to read the information there. If one believed in such patterns and semiotics, yeah.
Well, it is just that thing that says, if you're going to go conspiracy theorist,
go full.
It all has meaning.
Go full Foucault's pendulum.
I've been watching Enola Holmes just last night.
Oh,
so yeah, the word games and encoding stuff. Yeah, it was fun to watch.
I still haven't watched it, so I'll have to check that out.
It's very fun. It's really interesting to see Henry Cavill in a secondary role, and that he isn't the main guy over there stealing the spotlight, but he's still there.
I still haven't watched that Mission Impossible where he's the villain, the most recent one. I have to do that.
It's a good one, but Mission Impossible, I think I love the actions, but there's too much betrayal.
Yeah, it's all about betrayal. So let me reframe where we're at situationally.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a drive up, again, still woodlands around, but there's a drive up to this institute. The facility itself, several floors, fairly wide. There's going to be a loading entrance, emergency entrance. There's parking lot out front, and a drive around, big front doors, several access ways. It's not a facility that's made to lock down particularly easily. You are driving up, Carl, with your vehicle, and we'll assume that close behind, we have Henry and Viola in their car, and that's been identified.
I'm not sure I want to drive in there till I've got something from Carl and Peter. I don't know about Viola.
Yeah,
but I'm
so
nervous.
far enough back that you're out of line sight of the building, close enough that you're a quick drive up. Does that seem reasonable?
I was actually thinking of getting out of the car and going around the back of the building. But I want to find out what Carl and Peter tell us about. I'm already worried about, armored black vans.
Yeah. So Carl, as you're driving up and you're keeping yourself relatively quiet, what you see is one essentially standard sedan black vehicle, clearly armored, two vans, and you see some people getting out, and they've got some gear, like side bags, that kind of thing, that you're guessing is arms, but they're not bringing them out, and they're not looking like people who are in a hurry, like they're going to go in hot to this building and start shooting. They're clearly taking it easy as they unload and get ready to, as you can guess, start moving up into the facility. So what do you want to do, Carl?
Just to clarify,
yeah,
does it look like those guys are going to assault the building like a SWAT style, or are they just carrying equipment into the building? Because I'm trying to guess what is.
So you think if they were going in SWAT style, like full force, they'd have guns out, they'd be going in the doors. You guess they're trying to keep they're clearly armed, so they've got some serious intention, but they're clearly trying to be a little cool about it, not trying to raise the heat, not trying to make too much noise. At this point, you're still out of any kind of line of sight of them, so you can decide how you and Peter want to approach.
Yeah, so I would assume that I think I would go backwards and are there is there like a wall around the facility or just a fence or actually nothing around the facility?
Let's say a wall. I like that. That's the first thing you said. So yeah, there's a low wall that essentially isolates the grounds from the nearby forest, probably for walking around, probably tended areas.
Yeah, I think I would not drive into the parking lot, but like stop on the outside of the wall. Maybe they have like a spare parking slot in case there is like a crowded space or something inside, and I would probably say to Peter, can you get the drone back in the air and take a look around? I think I need to visit the place and be ready to action. So I would probably like go to the trunk, put on the jacket, take some rope, and I would probably be crossing the wall and probably like climbing the side of the building to get into the building, but not for the main entrance.
So let's figure out Peter's action, then we'll have you make an infiltration roll. Peter, what are you doing when Carl gets his gear together and starts to head out?
Yeah, let's put a drone up in the air, and let's also put a wheeled drone. I want to try and drive it under one of their vehicles and park it up with a mic, so we can try and perform a bit of surveillance, find out what they're up to, what they're saying.
Absolutely. So I think you can get that drone under the car. I don't think that's an issue. They're not looking for that kind of thing, and just probably wait until they kind of start to move into the building. I think you'll definitely get the sound of mics on there. There's clearly a driver in each of the vehicles, and you hear the squawk, and they're clearly on communications. I think you'll hear them say, subject third floor, director confirms, unconscious.
Okay, I'll pass this on then to everybody, and then I'll just put it out there to everybody. You know, let's come up with a method of intrusion here. How clearly we need to get to that third floor and have a look at this subject, find out something about this martyr, possibly they may be in there, or whoever else was in the vehicle. Yep, so let's come up with a plan. How we're going to get in there? Covertly, or do we want to overtly assault, which I'm probably quite against, or do we want to actually get somebody in there under false pretenses? You know,
well,
just climb into the building, you know, jack into the building, that's fine. Assault, which I'm dead against, or you know, let's get somebody on a patient list, you know, so you can then walk into the building and then do your stuff in there. Happy with either the first or the last, don't mind, but let's get a coherent plan going.
Well, do we really have the time to set up a cover ID or?
Yeah, it'd take minutes. You know,
Okay.
Once we hack into their Ethernet, should be no problem to put in a false ID, pull a picture off. You know, Henrietta's got lots of false pictures of her. You know, dish. There we go. Shouldn't be too hard. You know, if we want to get Carl in there with a frothing mouth in a wheelchair, it can be done. You know, Henrietta could be his nurse. I don't care. You know, let's get 2 people in there, 3 people. You know, let's come up with a plan.
I'm certainly thinking these guys have parked in the parking lot and are moving up in some kind of tactical approach to the front of the building.
Carl can tell you,
kit.
not they've got the kit for it, but they're not moving like in formation or anything like that. They are strolling up to the building.
So okay, right. So they think they've got a right to be here then.
Yes.
I mean, I would prefer to do this surreptitiously. I think it's quite a nice idea to have Carl up a drain pipe on the 3rd floor as I go in through the rear staff entrance. So if Peter can hack me into as a newly appointed doctor.
Yeah.
So let's start with the first half of that, which is Carl making his way across, avoiding any kind of detection and getting up the wall. I think you've got enough of the kit and things like that it's less about the athletics and more about infiltration. Is going to cover sort of both halves of that. So you'll make a physical spend for that. So what do you want to spend on this attempt?
I'm going to wager 2.
Okay.
Oh, that's a 13.
So tell me what that looks like. I mean, what do we see with the action music going in the background?
Yeah, so we see Carl just like scales the wall. He has like a heavy gloves to like move himself over the barbed wire on top of the wall, and then he just like he's dressed in black. We see he has this like mask of like a night vision goggles, and he's moving through the some probably since they have it's a private hospital, they probably have like a little garden over here, and he's like moving through, and maybe at some point one of those guys who is strolling toward the building looks directly at him, and we see like Carl's like hiding behind the tree, like waiting for the guy to look the other way, and then he just approaches the wall, and Tom Cruise style, he just like grabs some 2 things that suck to the wall, and he just like starts going up.
Absolutely, and you can take a quick look and find a window that's going to put you in an empty room up there on the 3rd floor, and you are in the building. So let's come to Henry.
Can I just, for the fictional purpose,
sure,
so that we have fictional positioning, if the room has some like LAN socket on the wall, I would probably like put in something so that Peter or Viola have like a LAN connection to their network. I'll probably like put something into the socket on the wall.
That seems perfect. So Henry, Viola, I assume you come up to meet with where Peter is at.
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. Viola, what are you doing during this? And then we'll come to Peter Henry's op here.
Oh, well, I was actually thinking if Viola could get access to that car they drove in on. Because I think Viola would like to try to get to access to that car and see if she can disable it for when we need to make our inevitable flee from armed gunmen.
Absolutely. So this will be, I mean, if you want to move up to do that, it is kind of stealthing up. Do you want to do that?
Yeah. I don't want to alert these guys too badly. So I'm going to spend, let's see, this is probably infiltration, right?
Yeah. How much?
I'll spend 3 here.
Ooh, go for the big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I don't have any of my currents written. There we go. And let's see here, lines and fails. Let me open this. And 2d6, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's a 7. Oh no, an 8.
8. So you are going to get up there. But I think that we're going to have you make a roll from mechanics to be able to get under and do that sabotage. Does that seem like a fair cost, like forcing that second roll?
Yeah.
So how much do you want to spend on that mechanics roll?
I'm gonna spend 2 here.
Okay.
I think that we see like Viola slide under the car from behind, and I'm tinkering with like the underside of the car because I assume they probably still have someone on the car itself.
They get a driver in each of the vehicles.
Okay.
So we get 1 car and 2 vans.
Okay. Yeah, let's see if this works out or if I blow this all. Oh, that's a 10, sorry.
It's a 10. So I think that let's say with the 10 plus, you can get 2 vehicles sabotaged and be able to fall back, or 3 vehicles, but you're kind of stuck in the position.
Yeah, let's force other people to rescue me.
Okay.
I'm gonna take out all 3 vehicles.
Okay.
How do I get stuck?
So I think it is that you are under one of the van when the driver gets out to have a smoke, and like there's an orderly on the other side. Like they've got kind of both lines of sight, so that if you pop out, it's going to look really weird to either one of these smokers who are out here. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
So you've got to hook into the system there, Peter.
Can we assume that we've got earbuds and comms?
Absolutely, 100%. Standard basic gear. Like if you're going in for bear, you can have the night vision. If you want to have armor, it does mean that people see you, they're going to go, what? But the earbuds are common, standard. Yeah. So Peter, what are you setting up here for Henry?
I think we want a background that Henry works at the hospital with an image of her and a false touch card. So she should be able to get through any touch doors, that sort of thing. So she's got a background as a doctor in the hospital.
I think that's digital intrusion. This is kind of
so.
active action here.
So how much are we going to spend? Let's spend 2.
Okay.
$2d6 with a modifier 2, rolling now. Excellent. Total of 12.
So, yeah, you grab a file. You probably already got something prepared to drop Henry's IDs into things. You'll slap that on. You pull out a standard badge card. Get the electronic RFID sig on it. Hand it off, and Henry is clear in the system. So yeah. Henry, oh yeah, go Paul.
Could I use my talent, paint a target? I'd like to, while I'm in the system putting Henry on, I'd like to block these guys at the doors, lock them out until they bring some connections to bear, maybe have to phone somebody to get them in.
I think the time. How about this? I'll let you with a spend on that. you're spending an ability. So yeah, they've been.
Do I just tick the talent? Where
If you take the talent, I'm going to say that a couple of them are in, but the majority are going to be out. Does that seem fair?
Seems totally fair.
Okay. So that is a thing where they've kind of been wandering up. A couple guys maybe hustled up to go clearly maybe to talk to somebody inside. But when the other guys get to the doors, there's that chicka 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 of the electronic entryway, which is probably also what's keeping Viola from getting out from under the van, is that team up there. So Henry, you're going in through the rear entrance?
The staff entrance, which will be around the back with the staff car park, I would have thought. Yeah. So, come in, because there's no gate for access to the car park. So just checking there isn't any camera, but just scoot around the wall and then follow the woodland around the edge of the woodland until I can see the staff entrance. And then, low shuffle to behind a car, stand up as though I've just got out of a car, and walk up.
I don't think we've got any active security at this moment like that they are looking for that kind of thing. So I don't think it's an infiltration role. But I think you'll get in, it comes into the staff entrance. It goes off one way to hospital laundry, and then to the hospital kitchens, and you can move forward. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
The internal fire escape to the 3rd floor.
Okay. You will make your way up to the 3rd floor. So that's where our position is. You will hear that. So he does that. So right now, we can see on screen a couple of guys coming with somebody from the facility walking back to the front doors to try and let those guys in. Like, okay, what's going on?
Can I get on the comms too? And Viola, what's your read on those guys? Are those current military, some local SWAT, or some ex-military dudes working for someone? I would hate to, have a firefighter accidentally wound some legal police force.
Viola, do you have military science?
Steven looks frozen.
Oh, no.
I do believe, I think I do.
Okay. So I think without a spend, these guys feel like private security, maybe criminals, definitely, experience with weapons. They don't feel like police or even like, government tax services. Certainly not the Romanian TEK counter-terrorist special forces. That isn't them. And I think you can get that without making any kind of spend. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
And I think there is a cut where we cut back to Viola under the van as these people are milling around there.
Identifying their boots.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking. If I could get a spend because I do have time now to examine this guy and see if he has anything that reveals a little bit more about him.
If you want to make a spend.
Yeah.
I think that spend one from investigate from the academic, and these guys feel like trained killers, but a little lowbrow criminal, and you definitely have the sense from the buzz that you're picking up that they've got a commanding person off-site who is talking to them, and he's talking to them in English. And that they are now that the doors are locked, or maybe a little nervous, but your sense is that they're here to capture their target, but they're also, the way they're holding themselves, the way they're positioned, do you think they're also here to kill anyone who gets in the way? Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
What tells you, what's the key, visual piece that we get when we see you eyeballing these guys?
I think it's that, like, what we kind of see is me eyeballing this guy, and I'm looking for any kind of like insignia or badge that might indicate that they're with an official organization. But it seems what you're implying is that these are clearly like, at the very least, off the books, Wet Works folks.
Yeah, no badges, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And they're also
and I think, oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, they're also not trying to like conceal themselves particularly.
Yeah. Yeah, and with this knowledge, there's a guy that they're reporting to. I think I'm gonna mark that. I'm gonna pull out. Let's see. I was looking through the talents here. Where is it? Yeah, this guy is standing right outside the car, and I think we see Viola kind of edging over closer to him, and then she just kind of pulls out like this small like listening device, and just kind of like, with like a wire, kind of like attaches it into the heel of the sole of his boot.
Okay.
And I'm trying to plant in like a bug on him, so that we can get a line on whoever is leading these folks when they have to report back.
Okay. We will come back to you on that and check what we need to spend or roll for that. But we know that you're in that position. Carl, you're up in the third floor. You know that Henry is making her way up through the fire thing. You know what the situation with is with those troops. You want to start moving on this floor. What do you want to
do? Yeah. So I assume that I'm in some empty patient room, or is it like an office room? But I probably like go to the. But there's probably nobody here with me in this room.
Empty patient room.
Yeah, so I like take a look outside and just to gauge, can I move freely on this floor, or do a guy like me in a vest with a gun would attract attention because there are people on the corridors?
So you'll take a peek out in the hallway. This is pretty easy glance that you can get down. You have you're not entirely sure where the room is, but the orderly kind of standing at attention outside of one of the rooms, kind of unusual way, because you do see nurses, it's night nurse. So there are only maybe one or two on the floor right now. But there is an orderly that's clearly been set to stand outside a room. And that gives you a pretty clear sense that that's, where your target is. This is, of course, a hospital floor, kind of straight corridor, so not a lot of cover here.
Yeah, I would probably talk to Henry and say that I'm in position, but I'm in across the hall from the place where I suppose they are, and I'm waiting to coordinate with you whatever you decide to do.
Is this a long straight corridor with an emergency exit at one end, a lift at the other end, or is it more complicated than that?
It's probably more like a cross, but it's two straight corridors. There's probably a couple of lifts and a couple of stairs there for ready access.
Okay, so and is there much activity on the corridors?
We've got two nurses that are moving around doing rounds on this floor, plus the orderly who's stationed outside the door at this moment. But you know, you've got a tight timetable because those two guys are coming up.
Yeah. So that's why I think probably as I approach the corner that will take me to the bit of corridor with the orderly at attention and Carl in the room opposite, I think that as I approach that corner, I hit the fire alarm and I say in my earpiece, remember Vienna? Let's do Vienna again. And the alarm will go off and I'll come round the corner at the run, heading towards the orderly, saying, we need to get the patients out now. You do rooms 5 and 8, I'll do 2 and 3.
Interesting. I think that this is probably infiltration, unless you want to do the spend on your special ability to just, you know, have him completely buy this.
I think I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've got a tag. I will have picked up a white coat and a stethoscope just as I was coming around the corner. And I look like an harassed doctor. I've changed the glasses, so I now look like a doctor, not a special agent. I'll spend to automatically find and be automatically read as what I claim to be. And I say, just check the one opposite because I'm worried there might be somebody in there, a late admission.
Okay. So this guy, he's clearly been told to stand there, but you come in, you're an authority figure, and he immediately moves away, and you can insert yourself into the room with ease. There's a bed. There's clearly the standard patient closet there. You see a woman. She's clearly still got some injuries, bruises, face, head, arms, and is in a gown, hospital gown. And you've seen her before. This is an MI6 operative. And you had heard that maybe they were on, maybe they kind of gone off program, and not in a good way. They work Eastern Europe, and this is the kind of people who might have messed with you too.
Oh, brilliant. Right. Well, just kick the restraints on the wheels and start wheeling her out the room.
Okay.
While I'm hoping the orderly is checking the room opposite.
You spent that ability. Carl, what do you want to do? This orderly comes in.
Yeah, I suppose I'm waiting behind the door as the doors open, and he turns on the light, goes in to check if there's anyone, and the door closes. Carl is probably there with like a syringe with some sleeping stuff. I think it's 21st tech. I feel like it's 21st age. We have some like syringe for like a knockout stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Since this is at risk now they are definitely below your scale here. So I'm going to have you make a fighting roll. But you've got, I'm going to even give you advantage on this roll. So there's almost no chance you can fail depending on what you spend.
There's always a chance. You have not seen my dice. Today they are with me.
You're trying to just lure us into getting misses for you.
Exactly.
I'm going to spend one. God damn it. We have to count down. So I'm going to spend one and roll with advantage. So 3 dice. We'll have to pick the dice because I don't think this system does advantage this page.
Yeah, I usually just roll 3 dice. It'll show you what the 3 rolls are.
I take 5 and 4 plus 1 is 10.
Oh yeah. So this guy steps in and there's that, and he kind of reaches and maybe he gets another step before he slumps to the ground, and then we actually see you. You can easily push him out of the way.
Yeah, I politely put him on one of the beds so that it might look like he just took a nap.
Yeah, pull the curtain so that nobody
yeah.
can see. Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Do the Vienna plan include extraction of the suspect through the window, or do you go down and exit the normal way?
Well, typically it's out through the freight entrance. So deliveries are at the back. So are extractions.
Okay, so since I'm since I'm in heavy gear, I probably cannot follow you there. So I'll probably start.
Vienna requires you to stop me being followed, obviously.
Okay, I'm trying to think so because I'm completely will not blend in here. I'm just trying to think how to play it now.
If I can remind you what happened in Vienna, you just covered me from a secure location, and when you saw the lift doors close, you just abseiled down the outside of the building. I mean, that was on the 10th floor, so it was a bit trickier, but this should be easy.
Yeah. So I'm just making sure that those guys who are in the building, I go out to the corridor, and I just make sure that the guys who we know are in the building will not interrupt Henry before she gets into the elevator.
Okay, so let me frame up, and then let me come to Peter. So Viola under the car. Henry, you've got her. Doesn't have any possessions on her. Just is in a nightgown. And you go to move her out into the hall. And right now, Carl is kind of following up behind. What are you doing, Peter?
Maybe just one thing before Peter starts. I think I would ask Peter, can you locate the phone? Maybe I can get it once I'm here. Can you look at the guy's phone? I forgot his name.
Cordano.
Contact.
Well, I know it's in the building.
Yeah.
I can try.
I would probably say that if you can locate the phone, I might be able to get it and then on to you.
Okay. I physically myself don't know a method, but maybe my character does. Try. Sort of like ping it. Sort of. Yeah.
I think this would be a surveillance spend.
Okay. Let's look at some spends in the surveillance. Let's go for a spend of 2.
Okay. You can tell that his phone, as well as some other little electronics, are kind of down in the administrator's office. Like you can follow that through, and essentially, I don't know how you're able to ping, but you can tell that there's at least another phone on site in that location, which seems odd because there's nobody in that room. And that's what you'll pick up. You think it might be the woman's phone.
Yeah, I'll push that information to everybody and say, I'm looking at the internal CCTV and there doesn't seem to be anybody in that area. So if one of you two could get in there.
I have to say I've got my hands full.
Sure, I'm on it. Unless Viola needs me, but yeah, I'll do something about it.
Well, yeah. I'll try and assist Viola. Does Viola actually need some help though?
Well, there is a help mechanism here, isn't there?
Yeah, you can always spend points to assist people on standard rolls. Yes.
Because if in my earbud is coming that kind of there's somebody approaching from the corridor on your left. Just go into that room opposite and count to 5, and that'll open the way. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
The man in the van kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Viola's under somebody else's van, isn't she? I know she's stuck.
By this point, the doors have come open, and those guys have moved into the building, and you can see that the director is there with them, clearly, that kind of you've got that drone up. You can see he's doing that gesture like, yep, she's up on the 3rd floor, blah, blah, blah. And they begin to move into the buildings as he points to the various elevators and stairs, and they're splitting up.
Happily,
Okay.
the freight elevator
I'll relay
doesn't come
that
down
and
to
say-
reception.
They're covering most of your routes of escape. Maybe it might be better going out the window down a drain pipe.
Well, just to be clear, I'm assuming the freight elevator doesn't open into reception.
Well, not open into reception, but he's clearly sending people down there.
Okay.
To cover
okay.
that.
I'll take my chance.
Okay. So Viola, these people have moved off. Do you want to try and get out from under the vehicle? Get back to the group?
Did I manage to plant my bug?
Oh yeah, let's do that. I'm sorry. Let me see. Why don't you do? Let's do this as a digital intrusion spend. I'll give you the for that roll.
Okay. I'll spend down another 2. Doing everything from under under a van. Let's see. So, okay, number of dice. Oh, okay, I see. 2. Oh, that's a 5.
That is a 5. So I think you get that bug planted on this guy. Okay. And like you got it set, but that's the moment when his boot comes down on your hand. And, I would have you mark a harm. Okay. And he's clearly, somebody's hand come out from under here, and he clearly brings his other boot down on your hand. And I don't know how much you cry out in pain, but you definitely have been spotted. Let's come back. Let's do Henry, and then Carl, Peter, and then Viola. Let's kind of do that swing through. So Henry, you know that they've sent guys back. They're probably going to be, get into that elevator down at the bottom. How do you want to do this?
I think that because the alarm's gone off,
there
will be a well-rehearsed evacuation plan.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
Try and blend in with that.
Indeed, because
Okay.
I'm assuming that they'll make use of all the elevators they can, because you won't be able to get more than maybe 1 in the normal lifts and 2 in the freight elevator. So
do you want to do this as sort of exfiltration versus infiltration, or do you want to do this as disguise? Well, I think this is disguise, I have to say. Okay. Then let's have you roll that. There clearly there's some the director's like shouting for people, and they know that something is up. That with this alarm going off when they're in here to do this, that something is going on. So let's have you roll. What I'm curious about is there a way for me to create an advantage here? I'm thinking of using something like cover or preparedness, or is it only somebody else who can help with that? So you could, in terms of to help you or to help me. That's interesting. The idea of creating, doing a risky test to give yourself advantage on a following roll. Is that what you're trying to do? Yeah. Okay. So you're trying to use cover to do you think for this? I am muted. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is how good is it's almost how good Peter's cover is, isn't it? Yeah, it got you in. If you want to play on that. That you can talk to people around here, like you're like people know you, things like that. I do have a question for you as you're going down here. They're clearly looking for this woman. She's on a cart on a gurney in front of you. And like, you can disguise yourself, but what are you doing to conceal her?
That's a good question. I think I bang a wound dressing
Okay.
straight over her face.
So let's have you roll cover to kind of establish your potential advantage.
Okay, so I'll spend 2 on cover.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that's, yeah, cover. So roll 2 dice. 7, 8, 9.
9. So I think that will give you that advantage, but it is fleeting. Like, your next thing, not going to last past that. Does that seem fair?
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that does.
Then we'll come back to you when the elevator comes down. Carl, you know where this is. A fire alarm's going off. People are moving through here. You know that there are operatives moving up the stairs and, going to be coming up the elevators. How do you want to play this?
Is the administrator office on the ground level or at the first
ground level? Yeah.
Yeah. So I probably go down out of the window the same way I came in, just crawling on the wall. And since it looks like we are on the clock with the fire alarm and who knows what else, I think I'm just jump through the window to the administrator office, grab and bag it.
Athletics.
Oh my! I will soon be out of stuff, but I think I'm going to wager 1 on this and see how it goes. 2 dice, 1. Yeah, it's a 5.
So I think you come through that window, smash through as the office door opens, and we see the director and one of these gunmen there as you come through. And there's that bit where you kind of roll, catch your breath, and we'll come back to that in just 1 second. Peter,
Yep.
What are you up to? You have seen that Viola's hand has been stamped on. We're going to come to the take the hit roll in just a moment for Viola. But what are you doing?
I'd like to start turning some internal lights off. So I'll warn Carl that it's going to go dark where he is to hopefully give an advantage against these 2 guys. So yeah, I'd like to spend to give him an advantage.
Okay. So I think we've already established that you have access into the system, so I don't think it's digital intrusion. If you spend from your technical, we'll give him advantage. How does that sound?
Good for me.
Okay.
So I'll spend 1 from that.
Yeah. That's all you need to. That'll bring the lights down. Just the fire emergency lights will come up, those, the floor lines and a few of the other ones. And in this office, there's probably nothing in the way of emergency lighting for them. And it suddenly goes dark on them. Are external lights going out too?
No, let's keep them on.
Okay.
Because once he's out, he may need to see what's going on.
Okay. So you've got that shut down. Not a problem. Viola, why don't you roll take the hit, which is roll with
I got a
+1.
7.
Got a 7 on that. So when that happens, you have to choose one. Lose your footing, drop something important, lose track of someone or something you're supposed to be on top of, or your opponent will have the edge on you, which gives a little bit of a disadvantage if you go to conflict with them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know how I could possibly not say they have an advantage.
Okay. Then there's that crunch. And the edge is probably that he keeps his boot down on your wrist. What do you do?
So what does the edge mean if I go into conflict with them?
So right now, I go to the thing in combat. You have essentially are acting with disadvantage.
I see. Yeah, I'm oh, do I want to take this? Sure. I'm gonna because yeah, I'm gonna take martial arts.
Okay.
And like this guy, like he has one hand down. I like grab him by the belt of his pants, and then just like pull forward and just keep pulling him forward into the fan until
Perfect.
I knock him out.
Mark that as your talent, and then he's not expecting it because it feels like he's got complete control of it. But then, boom, pull, knock, hits against the van, and when he's down, he kind of flips, and you're out there, and you can just drop him. And with that 12 plus, you can also run like hell if you want to get away from there.
This sounds like a good plan at this point.
So Viola is sprinting across the parking lot, but people are occupied elsewhere. That's not going to be something anybody's going to notice. Let's swing back to Henry. Now let's have you make that roll to get past.
So this is disguise we talked about, didn't we?
Yep, with advantage.
With advantage. I think that
almost no chance you could fail.
Remaining 2 in specialist. So I'm rolling 3 dice plus 2. 9, 10, 11, 11.
11. So it's a mess in here. Like the elevator doors come open, the lights switch off at that point. There are people in the elevator with you, or like they've got another patient in a wheelchair, and there's another doctor, and they're moving out, and they kind of force past these 2 guys who are clearly here to go up the elevator, who are also like getting some squawk on their comms, and they don't take a second look at you. The doctor, okay, another doctor, blah, blah, blah. And they move into the elevator and hit the button and then hit it a couple more times to make it go faster. And you wheel out the back, and the people around you treat you just like a colleague, like, okay, let's get everybody out, emergency plan. One who goes, in Romanian says, oh, you're the new guy coming. We're supposed to go, we have to get at least 30 yards away from the building, blah, 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 blah. And they're moving you over to that clearance point that you're supposed to be at.
Which obviously is in the staff car park at the back, isn't it?
Absolutely. Carl, this is not a great situation, but then the lights go out. What do you want to do?
Yeah, so I imagine that as I'm going through the window, the doors open, the light starts, and what the hell? Then the lights go off, and Carl does Carl does a flip forward from jumping through the window. He stands up. He has his mask with the night vision goggles on, and he just quickly double taps on the goon. I'm not killing the doctor, just taking off the goon.
Shooting with advantage.
Yes, sir. I'm going to spend 1. I'm horrible at keeping these books. Okay. Spent 1, 3 dice, 1. It's 12.
It is a 12. So you take no harm. His hand goes down to the gun. He's clearly trained, but then there's that pop, and he is sprawled out. And I think the advantage you can get here is you see the bag with the phones it's right there on the desk, and if you want to grab that up now, you can do that.
Yeah, I will do that, but
and then what else? You got another pick here because you're at that 12 plus.
Wait, is there some pick list to here? No.
Oh yeah, so you deal harm to your foe and suffer no harm. It's combat against an equal foe. Choose 2. You can deal more harm, take or give advantage forward, shift the edge, reposition the conflict, or the other benefit is negotiated, which would be getting hold of the bag.
Okay. So I'm looking at combat but against equal foe, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. You deal more harm, take advantage, shift edge, reposition the conflict. I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
I will just like grab the bag, exit through the window.
Yeah.
As the guy falls, and the doctor probably doesn't know what to.
Yeah,
what the hell is happening?
He hits the floor when he hears gunshots, even muffled. And I think reposition the conflict allows you to get out the window, got the bag, and you are out, rolling out of there.
Perfect.
Peter, you got the spot. You can tell that Henry's in the back, in the staff parking lot. Viola is running back towards the vehicles. She is in the clear, and you get the confirmation from Carl that he's got the materials.
Okay. Clearly, we've got 2 vehicles, so I can't drive both. I think the target, the 3rd floor person who we still don't know who is, I'm going to drive. Henry's got that person, so I'm going to drive into the staff car park, pick up Henry. I will radio the 2 others saying either jump in with me and we'll leave the other car, or take the car. I don't think it's compromised. But yeah, me and Henry have got the target. We're out of here.
I just love that Peter has remembered that this operation closed with "Good Night Vienna," which is pick up at the rear.
I think that there's no problem. Drive the vehicle back there, and this is kind of load her into the back seat. Okay, and I think you've got enough cover. I think you've got enough success with the advantage, Henry, that people aren't looking twice. Plus, those guard people aren't back here. Not for the moment, though. A gunshot has gone off, and maybe on the 1st floor there's some people reacting, but there's still the fire alarm going off with that horrible, a rising whoop sound over and over again.
My assumption is that with a fire alarm and a gunshot, everyone's looking that way.
Yes. Viola, do you want to get to the other car, or do you want to roll into the car that Peter is rolling up with?
I guess, yeah, I'll get into the other car. I mean, I feel like we don't want to leave this equipment behind.
Yeah, a vehicle with some evidence and a traceable thing seems fine. Carl, are you heading into the woods? Are you going for the car that Viola has? Are you joining Henry and Peter?
I'm heading for the car where Viola is. So
okay.
That we go, so that we ride 2 and 2.
Okay, so you'll roll into that vehicle, turn around, and 2 of you can drive and bug out, and we will see people guards pour out of the building, some of them kind of get into the vehicles. And what does the sabotage look like, Viola?
I think it's not something I didn't necessarily want to like drop a whole lot of bodies. I think it's mostly that I've cut the gas lines for their vehicles so that they're not really drivable.
Yeah, they smell gasoline when they come out. There's a quick check. They see one of their guys out on the ground, and they look, and they're yelling, and shouting and on their comms right now as the 2 cars drive away. Let's take 5, and then we'll come back.
This hack bowls along very nicely, Lowell.
I'm pretty pleased so far. Yeah. I think the real challenge is to get to figure out what the economy of points are within a mission, like how much refresh, how much not. I think that'll be the real challenge here. But
there's an Alec Guinness line somewhere, all the elegance of Chaucer with none of the concomitant absurdities. And there's something about that tonight. All the elegance of NBA with none of the concomitant absurdities.
Like, I love so much about NBA, and then I look at things like Double Tap that add just a ridiculous amount of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm recognizing some of the stuff that comes from solo ops.
Yeah.
Which I think is neat.
Yeah, I think solo ops and King and Yell is a great model to how to go forward with Gumshoe, as an express version. I've run Trail of Cthulhu. I've run a bunch of I ran Gumshoe when it first came out in a bunch of iterations there. I ran Ashen Stars once. That is a game with a lot of skills that are not immediately recognizable. And I've never seen a more frustrated table than at that session of I've ever run.
I mean, it is odd, isn't it? It's been a while since I've sat at a table with quite such a variety of skills.
Yeah. I did the same sort of treatment to Mutant City Blues, but the powers part of that is the real problem. So you're 2 cars, highway, moving along a sharp clip, heading back. The thing that Henry, Peter, you will notice in your vehicle is that very quickly it smells like roses in the vehicle. It's weird. It just after just a moment or two, we start driving off, you will smell that.
This is the time when you wish you'd taken vampirology and not occult.
Well, let's have somebody with some medical expertise look at the person, maybe change driver, and Henry, you've got medic.
I've got medic, but not medicine.
Where does medicine fall under?
It's under technical.
Technical. I do. So you drive. I shall examine the patient.
Fine.
Quick pull over by the side of the road, meet up, swap driver, and you want to do a quick check there?
Yep. So I'm going to spend 1.
Whatever is wrong with her, the reason that she is unconscious, like she's taken some physical injury and so on, but she's probably unconscious for another reason, like something else has happened. And you can see that that you can find a syringe mark that suggests to you that she's been sedated. And then there is the smell of roses is definitely coming off of her. And it's weird, she's clearly been scrubbed down, been bandaged on some of the things. So you're not sure. It seems like an unnatural phenomena to you. Does that seem like a fair answer?
It does. Let's wind the windows down just in case it's not just the smell of roses.
Okay.
Let's keep the vehicle well ventilated.
Okay.
And presumably a quick kind of check of her incisors doesn't reveal anything untoward.
You do not see any of the conventional signs of vampirism on her.
Since I assume we are in the comms range, Can I use my cool vampirology?
Yeah, you want to make a spend on that?
Yes. I would gladly spend one from vampirology because Carl apparently has had some past run-ins with the vampires.
You will tell Peter what to check, and essentially have him like turn her arm over and check on the main vein on her arm, and there are clearly bite marks, and she's not a vampire, but she's what you call a Renfield, a thrall of a vampire, someone who's been bitten and has a psychic connection to a vampire. Does that seem like fair info?
Yep.
Well, that seems terribly unfair and frightening.
Let's put a sandbag on her head so she can't see who we are. You know, and yeah, I think with the knowledge Carl's provided there, does Carl know of any way to sort of block this psychic connection?
That is not a thing that should be possible. Killing them.
Okay. This then begs the question of, has somebody gone out of their way to injure her? You know, are we interfering with somebody that could be possibly aligned in the same direction of us, and we're actually impeding? Okay.
Viola, what are you doing during this? You know, you've got that bag of material from the car that Carl took.
What bag did you say?
So Carl grabbed the bag from the office of the administrator, clearly personal possessions of this woman and Pordano.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I probably will pull out any phones or things along that line, see if I can dump some information off of them.
I think that Pordano's is pretty clean. This is clearly an op phone. It does have a couple of contact numbers on that you will be able to follow up on, so you want to make a note of that. The other phone is interesting in that there's a voicemail and a text message on it. This is clearly, you would guess, the woman's phone, and it says, let me get the text of this right. It says, "Blown, get to church," is the text message on it.
And is there a number associated with that?
Yeah, you'll get a phone number on that, which is also associated with the voicemail. And the voicemail essentially comes on and says, "They're in here. They I don't know who blew us. We're out." And then you'll hear some gunshots and some sound of fighting, and that voicemail will cut off. And maybe about 30 seconds later, that text message is sent from the same number.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're kind of looking at that as you guys pull back out onto the highway to head back to Bucharest. And that's when the shadow passes over the cars. And that's where we're going to start next time.
Okay.
So we'll stop there. We'll continue on. Generally, with Night's Black Agents, they do advancement by mission. We'll follow that. You do get between sessions how do we put this for the refresh? You can add back 1 point to an investigation pool, and you can add and you can add up to 3 points to your general pool, and you can divide that as you want. And I don't think you generated particular heat. You weren't seen. The gunfire was limited and probably going to be covered up. So the heat for the team hasn't increased from this particular op. Would all of you be okay with just a quick stars wishes thoughts on this after this? And we'll...
Sure.
Pavel, let me start with you. Your thoughts tonight. Things you dug, and then things you'd like to see more of next time, or things you'd like to work with.
It was really awesome how we shared the spotlight. That's a skill that you are very good at, Lowell, and everyone had their time. Nobody was waiting for too long, I think, at least I wasn't. So it was awesome spotlight. The heist, because I sometimes the heist on the hospital felt really good. I felt like really the guy from the wet work infiltrating, stunning someone, dropping someone, jumping through the window. So it felt really good. I look forward to this.
Okay. Anything you definitely like? I definitely want to see this either next time or in the coming sessions. Besides the disco.
Besides the disco, I don't mind if you guys have some suggestions of what I should do, because especially in the beginning phase, I had like no idea what to do with myself. So if you guys have some suggestions, Carl, can you go, I don't know, go on the ground, go check it up. I'll be happy to do, especially in the very beginning investigation. I had no idea what to do and where to go. So I'm open for suggestions, guys.
I'll say one of the things you're probably really good at is reading the sitch, looking to see if there is heightened police attention or heightened military attention in areas. I think that's one of the things you're going to be really, really good at.
Vampirology.
Yeah, and you're the only one with vampirology. Stephen, thoughts?
Yeah, I really enjoyed like I think that thanks for taking the time with me. This is the first time I've actually played anything even adjacent to Gumshoe.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought that you kept things moving forward kind of very well in the kind of operation part of the scene, yeah, just I like to see a little bit more because I feel like I know that part of Gumshoe is like investigating stuff, but also I feel like we could that I would have liked to also see like a little bit more of the like what's the word like just a little bit more of the interpersonal side between
Mm-hmm.
the other player characters. Like I felt like I didn't quite I felt like I didn't quite know yet how these characters actually like fit together.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get some decompressed moments next
Yeah.
time for some of that interaction. That's a really good point. Paul, thoughts?
Yeah, really liked it. People shared the spotlight, which I thought was really good. There wasn't much skills overlap between people, and yeah, everybody got their own thing to do, which I think worked really well. Clearly you got to spread it between 4 different people, but I never felt like I wanted to jump in. It was my time, others was other time. you know, works really well. Just more of the same. Yeah, I'm not looking for anything special coming forwards. Just
Okay.
more of this would be good.
And Alan.
Yeah, I mean, as I said just before we came back, I think that this has all the feel of Night's Black Agents without some of that kind of what I find a bit top-heavy weight, particularly online. You know, I was glad that we saw Carl, you know, take somebody down.
Yeah.
I was pleased that that Paul playing, you know, the guy in the van with his equipment, you know, running the system from just, you know, over your shoulder. I think Viola, Stephen, you know, I loved that you weren't prepared to just watch the vans. No, I crawl under them. You know, that's all very very techno thriller. So yeah, no, I had a great time. You know, and Henry got to be two different people. It's a good start.
It is. Any wishes?
I don't think so, really.
Okay.
Maybe another different two people.
Okay,
Don't know.
we'll see. Thank you all very much. I'm going to stop the recording here.